Hi everyone. Today, I'm thrilled to dive into a story that's not only inspiring but also profoundly touching. A story about resilience, kindness, and one of Hollywood's most beloved stars. You've probably heard of Keanu Reeves, but did you know the journey he's traveled to get to where he is today? His story is filled with more twists and challenges than most of his movies, yet through it all, he's remained a true beacon of compassion. So, stay tuned for today's video in Animals Need Love and explore the life of a man who could have chosen bitterness, but instead chose to change the world. Keanu's story has its roots in Beirut, Lebanon, where he was born. But life didn't give him a smooth start. By the age of 3, his father had already left. Their mother, who would go on to marry several times, raised Keanu and his younger sister. Because of this, Keanu had a lot of different stepfathers as he grew up. Growing up, Keanu was often ridiculed by classmates because of his dyslexia, and this led to him switching schools 4 times in 5 years. He even faced expulsion from an acting school before finishing his education at a Catholic school for boys. Yet Keanu dropped out before earning his high school diploma. At the same time, Keanu developed a passion for hockey. His friends nicknamed him The Wall, a testament to his skill as a goalkeeper and his confidence on the ice. But his dreams of a career in hockey were dashed when he was involved in a serious car accident. As if this wasn't enough, just as he was starting to recover, tragedy struck again. His best friend died from a drug overdose. These were Keanu's early years, filled with hardship and heartbreak, and he had no way of knowing that his future would one day shine as brightly as it did. Despite the overwhelming challenges he faced, Keanu found the strength to keep moving forward. He moved out of his parents' home and into his friend's basement, taking on 3 jobs to support himself. He worked as a skate sharpener at a local rink, a park groundskeeper, and a cook in an Italian restaurant. And then, something extraordinary happened. Keanu met the love of his life, and for a while, he was the happiest person alive. But fate, as always, had another tragic twist in store for him. At the age of 37, his beloved partner, Jennifer Syme, tragically died in a car accident. They had already suffered the heartbreaking loss of their first child, a stillborn baby girl, and Keanu was still grappling with the grief of that loss when the accident occurred. Jennifer lost control of her car and died instantly, leaving Keanu to face the cruel void of loneliness. Despite his fame and career success, he felt isolated in a world that seemed far less kind than the one he had once hoped for. The only source of comfort for him during that time was his loyal dog, who provided the warmth and companionship that helped him keep going. Yet when Keanu closed his eyes at night, he was met with an overwhelming emptiness. In the years that followed, Keanu never remarried, nor did he have any more children. The tragedies he experienced left a permanent mark on him, but instead of succumbing to despair, Keanu chose a different path. Rather than seeking personal fulfillment through wealth or material possessions, he found meaning by helping others and giving back to the world. His sister Kim had battled leukemia for a decade, and her recovery became one of the driving forces behind his philanthropic efforts. Keanu established a cancer research fund and has donated an astounding 70% of his earnings to cancer research, a decision deeply influenced by his sister's battle with the disease. Keanu's generosity extended far beyond family. While filming The Matrix Asterisk, he overheard a conversation between 2 costume designers in distress. One woman was facing the prospect of losing her home and becoming homeless if she couldn't raise $20,000 by the end of the month. Without hesitation, Keanu anonymously deposited the money into her account, saving her family from a dire situation. This act of kindness was just the beginning. After receiving his earnings from The Matrix Asterisk trilogy, Keanu chose to share the wealth. Instead of splurging on luxury items, he distributed millions of dollars to the crew members who worked behind the scenes, makeup artists, costume designers, stunt coordinators, and others who often go unrecognized. In total, Keanu gave away around $50 million, ensuring that those who helped make the films possible were taken care of. Keanu's humility is one of the most striking aspects of his character. Despite his Hollywood fame and friendships with some of the biggest celebrities, he remains remarkably grounded. He doesn't rely on bodyguards or entourages, and often takes public transportation, even giving up his seat to strangers. His modest lifestyle reflects his values. He doesn't spend on extravagant clothes or luxury items. Instead, he prefers to quietly donate to causes that truly matter, such as children's hospitals and cancer research. Keanu's generosity and down-to-earth nature serve as a powerful reminder that true wealth lies not in material possessions, but in the way we choose to treat others and the difference we make in the world. In 1997, the paparazzi captured a rare and heartwarming moment. 33-year-old Keanu Reeves spending his morning in the company of a homeless man on a street corner in Los Angeles. The two engaged in conversation for hours, and after that encounter, the man was never seen again at that spot. It's unclear what happened to him, but perhaps, thanks to that unexpected interaction, he went on to find a new path in life. Then, in 2010, another series of photos of Keanu made headlines. On his 46th birthday, instead of celebrating in the lavish Hollywood style that many might expect from a mega-rich star, Keanu simply walked into a local bakery, bought a pastry with a single candle in it, and ate it alone on the sidewalk. He offered coffee to those who stopped to chat and willingly posed for photos with fans. He spent his special day not with the Hollywood elite, but with ordinary people, showing that even as one of the biggest stars in the world, he chose the simple pleasures of life over grandeur. Keanu's humility extends beyond these public moments. In his film career, he regularly made sacrifices to ensure that other actors could participate in projects. For example, on several occasions, he agreed to take a significant pay cut, often giving up 90% of his asking price to help increase the movie's budget. This allowed other famous actors, who otherwise might not have been able to afford to star in the film, to join the cast. His generosity even inspired others in Hollywood to reduce their own rates, simply because Keanu had set the example of selflessness. While many celebrities make their charitable actions public, Keanu's approach has always been more private. He gives from the heart, without fanfare, seeking no recognition or praise for his good deeds. Whether it's donating to children's hospitals, cancer research, or simply lending a helping hand when someone is in need, Keanu does it quietly and with no expectation of reward. His actions reflect his deep personal values that go far beyond wealth, fame, or the need for validation. Today, Keanu continues to live with remarkable humility. You'll still find him having lunch on a park bench or riding the subway, choosing an unassuming lifestyle despite having the means to live in luxury. He can afford anything money can buy, yet what he values most is the simple act of being a good person. Some people may mistake Keanu's quiet, introspective nature for sadness, but he insists that he is a very happy man. In an interview, he once said that the clean clothes and food he has are more than enough for him. For Keanu, happiness isn't about material wealth. It's about kindness, humility, and the contentment that comes from being true to oneself. Keanu's life and actions are a powerful reminder that true success lies not in fame or fortune, but in how we treat others and the positive impact we have on the world around us. We can only hope that his example inspires more people to lead with compassion and generosity, making the world a better place, just as Keanu has done. By the end of the story, Keanu Reeves has shown us that true greatness isn't about how much you have, but how much you give. His kindness, humility, and selflessness remind us that being a good person is what truly makes someone a star, both on screen and in life. We've seen Keanu's generosity in his actions, his quiet philanthropy, and the way he treats others with respect and compassion, no matter their status. He's an example of how a big heart can leave an even bigger impact. So, what do you think? What is it about Keanu's character that resonates most with you? Have you been inspired by his actions? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching to the end. If you find our video interesting, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with others. Finally, don't forget to turn on our bell and subscribe to our channel. Animals need love, so you don't miss any of our new videos. Thank you for your support. Wishing you all peace, happiness, and a bit of Keanu's kindness in your own life. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.